Alissa M. Trumbull, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shabbat. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for taking time out to your busy schedule to be on the show. Really honored by that. And now I'm going to start off with a little icebreaker here. And the question is, what is your favorite sports team? And if you have a favorite sports team, can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so I guess my favorite local sports team is Chicago Blackhawks. They are rocking it in hockey always. So that's, definitely my favorite, I guess, U.S. sport to watch. My favorite actual sport is rugby, but it's not played professionally in the United States. So I can't go to games here. So to get to games, hockey is definitely fun.
Oh, rugby, really? So,
yeah.
So how did that come about?
So I like the game because it has a lot of rules. It's very complicated. Things like you can't throw the ball forward, the way that a scrum gets formed, and it's very active, and it's not a game for the faint-hearted to play. I've never played, but I had friends who played in college, and it just is a really exciting game. And I think for me, I like the complexity of it and the fact that it is very active. Where like in football, it's something ridiculous like 7 or 17 minutes of actual playing time in the entire, like in a whole football game. Where in rugby, you're active for the entire game, but you still get that contact sport piece of it. But watching rugby played is very much like watching a fine ballet. So I guess I don't know if that sounds funny, but it definitely was what drew me to the sport.
Okay, so now the question is, how does rugby or pertains to like I guess like being a writer per se?
Okay, well, that's a great question. Rugby, like writing. Writing can also be complex, or it can be straightforward. I think also in writing, you do get your basic rules. You get your grammar, your syntax, your sentence structure, things that are going to make a piece flow. But you also have to watch over your shoulder for that guy who's coming after you for the ball. And you always want to be a little bit ahead of the curve, particularly in content. Like it's always nice to be one of the first people to be writing on a topic or to go more in depth in a subject, just to be able to help provide kind of like that new moment. And you want to keep your writing fresh and you want to keep it exciting. So I guess connecting back to rugby, the excitement of the game.
All right. Now, of course, you're yourself, you're a writer, of course, and you've written for Miss Career Girls website. Can you share more with us about how you got into how did you became a contributor to Miss Career Girls?
Yeah, so Miss Career Girl started in 2011. And I actually know the founder is local here to Chicago. She is a sorority sister of mine. I met her through our alumni chapter here. And so when Nicole was getting that started, she obviously was looking for writers, looking for people to contribute. And so that was something that was really interesting to me. So I wrote some then, and then just given my work schedule and life schedule, I stopped writing for them. But when I left my job teaching in November, I really wanted to see what was out there. I really felt like I had something more to contribute. And so I contacted their current editor-in-chief, Abby, who is just absolutely phenomenal, and got back on their list. And so I write for them almost every week. I'm taking a little bit of a break here, just with other things that are going. But again, she's so wonderful and really flexible as far as like schedules for the writers, and topics are very open. I do like to write on things around business and ethics and HR, but also we can do lifestyle pieces. I've had opportunities to do recently a really fun interview with an incredible chef, Daniel Perez in Chicago. So the gamut of topics is open. And that I like as well, because it gives me space to come up with what I want to be sharing with other people. people.
Okay. Now, of course, like you're a writer. Like how important is it? Like, you actually first started out as, I guess becoming a teacher beforehand when you went to college, and then you decided to, change course. Like, how did you know that being a writer was, the right path for you, basically?
I'm a huge research geek, so writing, and particularly writing academic pieces, even if they're not, fully cited the way that you would a scientific paper, is fun to me. I like to learn a lot, and so for me to be able to share the things I'm learning with other people in a way that I hope is going to make an impact is really all that I'm striving to do when I write. For me, I also find that taking in a lot of information and then writing about it helps me understand it more clearly. So it definitely is twofold there, both for myself and for another audience.
Okay. How did you know, like, per se, like, I mean, you work at, at full time, but also you write. Like, for those of us who are, entrepreneurs that's trying to make our businesses successful, but they have to work in a day job to try to, make it profitable. How do you, like, balance it out, per se?
Yeah, I think that so something that actually Tamara McCleary talked about on her Why I Social interview really struck a chord with me, particularly with all of the new events that are taking place in my life right now. Is not that it's not about a work-life balance. It's about like a work-life synergy and making everything work together. And so, like, for me for example, like today, I've been at the restaurant since 5:30 this morning. I came home to do this. After this, I have to go shopping for our chef, and then I'm going back there. We have training with the front of house staff this afternoon, and then at 9 we're done. I'll come home and make dinner with my husband. It's not like having to make time for one or the other. It's really like working on the flow and making sure the pieces are working together. So having, in my case, a husband who understands that I'm working, 10 or 12 or 17-hour days right now for a few weeks, and to have bosses who say, yeah, totally, go home. We know you have this other thing going on. To have supportive people who care about the other things that I'm doing. And for me also to be able to advocate to say, this interview is really important. I need time for this, and let me figure out how to work my work hours around this other thing that is very meaningful in my life.
That is awesome. I mean, because I can say for sure that it's very important that you have bosses or who understands you don't just have one. You just not to can't dedicate to just one work. You have others.
Yeah, exactly.
Other work to do.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's great. Like, I mean, I look at all the things you do. You write, you do this podcast. I feel like you come up so much. You're involved in so many wonderful things, particularly in the social media world, and being able to put all those parts together in a way that flows. Like, I think that's really, the way that life has to go. Like, life doesn't just start it. Like, it's not a 9 to 5, Yeah. Mm-hmm. Make the most of every minute and make time to sleep and and make time for all the pieces that are important.
Yeah, and definitely agree with you. Definitely love Tamara McClary too, because she basically she brings that energy that will make people better, and of course it also shatters that thinking that you have to have a work-life balance, when in reality everything that you do is part of your life, and it's really great there.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, now for us, I want to know what are the challenges of being a writer.
I think the biggest is when I do have a lot of other things going on, being able to calm my brain down enough to focus on one topic. you know, and not just thinking about the 12 other things that I have to get done today, being able to focus time on, say, this is what I'm writing about. Like, I need to focus here and really get this in right now. So, like, for example, Jade and I are doing the BizGalz chat, and one of the things that we are doing a recap every week after the chat, but we're also doing a blog post. So this week and coming out this a little bit later this afternoon will be our blog post from this Monday's chat. But for me to take time yesterday and say, okay, I need an hour or so to sit down and get my thoughts together and really think about the things that got said and the input that Jamie had as a woman in STEM, and thinking about just a greater impact of those things, being able to center and focus on that. For me, with writing, I do get ideas and I jot them down, but to get into the meat and into the heart of it, I've got to have a focused time. So sometimes I do block out in my schedule and say, this is to write X piece, because otherwise sometimes I won't get to it if I'm not a little more strict on myself, I guess.
All right. And the flip side of that question, what are the rewards of being a writer?
I love sharing with other people. And for me, it's wonderful to have the opportunities to write, whether it's for Miss Career Girl or Millennial CEO or, you know, like a one-off guest blog entry. Like, those for me are fabulous opportunities. The rewards are like when somebody says to me, your piece impacted me, your piece made me think about something. And that is really what I want to do, is to make people think. So if I can do that for even just one person with everything I write, that's definitely like a huge success for me.
Awesome. Now we gonna delve deeper now into the BizGalz chat, which you guys just recently started last week.
Yeah.
Can you share with us about how you guys came up with that idea?
Yeah, so Jade actually came up with the idea and reached out to see who else might be interested. And so she and I actually ended up working on putting this together. We spent a couple months actually thinking about the purpose of the chat, the content, who we might want to have as guests, and ultimately the whole idea around having a place for women who are career women, whether that means you are looking for a job, you have a part-time job, you're a stay-at-home mom with a side hustle, you work full-time, you work 2 jobs, whatever that means to you as a career woman, that we had space for that. Because Jade had found, and I had also found, that there really aren't chats for women focused around business. There are a lot of great, like, topic-specific chats for healthcare, for social media, for things like that, but not geared for women in business.
Wow, that's really awesome. So, and of course, you know, for those that might not know, you know, Jade is in the UK, while Alissa is here in the United States, in Chicago. So it's really like great, you know, the way how technology can allow people to interact with each other, even though they're like thousands of miles away. So I got to ask about you know, for us, for business people, like how important is social media, especially Twitter?
Social media is incredible, and Twitter, I love. Jade and I do a lot of our conversation on Twitter messaging, and I actually love it because, like, when I wake up in the morning, you know, she's already into her day, and pretty much every morning I have a message from her, and so I love waking up to that, like knowing that I am participating in and building something that's so exciting for me, and to have a partner working on the same project who is also as excited. And you know, I feel like it's the same, because like I'll send her a message that's maybe 10 or 11 at night here. I know she's sleeping, but I know she's going to get it when she wakes up. And so it is really nice kind of to have that partnership. Twitter's incredible, you know, but just the power of being able, I mean, and then of course, like you look at things like it's incredible to have Skype and Blab and other video conferencing where you're not paying. You know, I don't have to pay to talk for an hour with her in the UK, where on my cell phone I'm incurring, you know, international charges, or I don't know. I guess I don't have a landline anymore, but that same kind of thing. So just the internet in general has just made connecting with people absolutely incredible.
Yeah, definitely. Now, in your opinion, who do you think is using social media right? And second part, what can businesses or people learn can learn from those people who are doing social media right?
Sure. I think so. For people who do social media right, Kelly Hungerford is always a favorite. She is just so nice and it's so welcoming, and even and across platforms, and really is very personable and personal. And I love. You know, getting invites to her chat every week, and then also, you know, if she gets mentioned or there's a shout out, you know, there's always a back and forth, and on Facebook also, you know, is just such a nice, kind person, and I think that really is the key of it. Like, I think about the people who are doing social media right, and they are genuine people. Kim Garst, either yesterday or the day before, was mentioned in a conversation that I was having, and she piped in and was just amazing and cheerful, and like her energy, Tamara's energy, like these people who are so welcoming. And I think that's what's really the key, is to be welcoming. I mean, when I first started doing Twitter chats a number of months ago, you were one of the people who immediately stood out. Every chat at the start and at the end, you were welcoming people. You were saying hello. You were being courteous in the way that you answered questions and had conversations. And at the end of a chat, you know, always a thank you. And that to me, while I do feel like I am a kind person, at least I do try to be, that watching people like yourself and the others that I've mentioned have really set forth some, I guess, unspoken guidelines on how to interact better in the social sphere.
Wow, thank you for the kind words. I'm really honored. Basically, I mean, the thing is, though, it's like seeing you guys, you know, being successful, you know, in doing the work that you all are doing as a writer, and then, you know, Tamara McCleary as a speaker, enjoying life, basically. That's what I'm aiming to get at, and I know that's what, you know, many people want to do in their lives, basically.
Yeah, and I think that is definitely something. I can't say I haven't struggled with it. I mean, I have, and finding all the places where I feel like I fit, and getting all those pieces of my personal puzzle together.
Yeah, definitely. Now, since you hosted Twitter chat, I give the podcasters, broadcasters, and the former the opportunity to ask me a question on the show. So I'm going to allow you to ask me a question.
What outside of social media is your favorite activity? Like what do you like to? I mean, it's a personal question, but I always want to get to know people a little bit more. So, what do you, Javal, like to do outside of all this awesome social media stuff that you do?
Well, for me, I like to go to the airports, basically. You know, to look at the planes. I love sightseeing at the airports, and
that's awesome.
I guess because for me, it allows me to clear my mind. You know, to focus on you know, just looking at the planes taking off, seeing the beauty, seeing I guess pondering on how like how they, like the fact of how someone had the opportunity to basically to build it, to take a risk in building an airplane, basically, and seeing how the airplane has evolved. Basically, it's really awesome.
That's so cool.
So, and of course I'm near a Bush Intercontinental Airport here. So So it's like like if the jet is flying from south to north, you can see it flying in the air very low. So it's really cool.
Have you seen? And I'll tweet you the link for it. There's a plane that collapses, and you can tow it behind your car. The wings collapse. It looks like a boat, and then it's actually like a little like a hydroplane, and the wings snap into place, and it's two people, and I didn't actually look at the price tag for it. I can imagine it's like one of those like dream things for me, but it was really cool.
Oh, really? That's awesome. Oh my goodness! That definitely. Well, I definitely have to see that there. So
yeah, tweet it to you after the show. I'll find the link.
All right. Now, of course, you staying on the topic of social media in a sense, which I'm like you guys recently had a social road trip, which happened in DC. Can you share more with us about that?
Yeah. So social road trip. It was really fun. I like to get in front of people, like really face to face, and someday I do want to meet you without this like screen between us, also. I like meeting people, and I like getting to know more about people, and about the heart inside everybody. And so social road trip was really fun because I got. I know it fell by the wayside. Matt Hannaford and I did start Social Outlaws, and both of us got very busy. We talk occasionally about being able to bring that back, but I think right now we don't quite have the time to do that, but do want to do that. So it was great to be able to meet Matt in person, and I got to room with Brie Kelly, who is just fabulous and adorable, and we were next door to Kayla and Amanda, and all these really wonderful people. And Jed Record was just out of this world to meet. And it was an incredible weekend, really just to get to hang out, and I got asked, so this is like a work thing that you're going to? And I was like, well, I'm like, kind of, but like, really, I'm just getting to meet all of these people that I have been talking to for months, and we're just going to go and have fun. And it really was. We went and we had fun, and it was just a beautiful time getting to meet Brian and Amanda Height, just incredible woman. And, everybody was. I can't think of one person that I didn't enjoy meeting and I wouldn't want to see again.
Yeah, and of course, for those that might not understand what social road trip is, it's basically when people build relationships on social media, and they meet in person. It's almost like going to a conference, but it's informal in a sense, and that's what took place for them. And I could say, seeing the photos of them having fun, interacting with each other, building each other up, it was really awesome to see.
I mean, and that really, the social road trip just came so much out of this community that's been built, particularly on Twitter, but of people who are like-minded and who are doing a lot of the same things in the career world, and so it's kind of like, how could this possibly be bad? You're meeting all of these people that you already know are fantastic.
Yeah, definitely. Now, what is why do you think it's important for people to have mentors in their lives?
Mentors are so important for, I guess many reasons, but being able to have somebody who has had the practical experience in any field, and somebody that you can go to with a question and be honest with, and somebody who can accept when you're having a moment where you don't have an answer, or you're you're struggling or you're upset, and somebody who will genuinely listen and be able to give feedback and be constructive in situations where maybe that aren't so positive. That kind of support for any career field, I think, is immensely valuable. I know that for myself, when I was doing social work, there's a lot to have somebody who'd been in the field longer than me, to talk to, who'd had more years of experience, whether it was 5 or 30 or however many. The perspective that's there when you have a mentor is just the education that you get from it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, is better than anything you'll ever get out of a book.
Definitely agree. Now, in your mind, who do what's the one book you would recommend that has helped you along your career as a writer?
Oh gosh. I don't read many books like on how to write, I guess, if that's what you're asking. Just because, but I do love to read. And I think for me, what's actually more valuable is investigating other writers' styles. Because it is really important to have your own voice and to find something that works for you. I read a lot of science fiction, and so thinking about authors like Neil Stephenson, who have an array of literature that they've written, but that you still get that feel that it's that author when you're reading it. I'm in the middle of reading Ready Player One, which is an Ernest Cline book, but I keep wanting it to be a Stevenson book, and so I keep being surprised the style is different. And it feels like something that Stevenson would have written if he'd had the idea first. So I like to explore the styles of writing and kind of see how I can be more serious without being dull, or be more playful without sounding fluffy, and that is very helpful. Is to read a lot of that nonfiction, or I guess fiction, and also nonfiction as well. I read just kind of in the vein of what I write. I try and read a lot of articles that other people are writing too, to kind of see, how people are writing, what they're writing about. But that style thing and being able to get your own voice down, and then being able to be consistent in your voice, I think is critical, because as an author, you can write on a ton of subjects, but or you can write on one specific thing, but being able to know how you sound and how you want to sound is very helpful in just the writing process. And in starting, knowing the voice that you want to have is a great place to begin. Otherwise, you end up with a lot of sentences or ideas that may not take shape in quite the right way.
All right. Now, 3 more questions. If you had the opportunity to spend one day with someone you admired, past or present, to learn from, who would that person be?
That would be my dad. My father passed away 10.5 years ago.
Oh, no.
And I would give pretty much everything for one more day to learn from him. He was one of the smartest, most educated, most open, most loving, and most energetic people that I've ever met. And his drive and his thirst for learning and wanting to share knowledge also was incredible. And I think that's where, and my mother also, a lot of my love for learning comes from. My parents really opened those doors to say, ask questions and find answers. And if you're not finding what you want, ask a different question. or change the way that you're asking the question. So that would be the person that I would definitely take another day with.
Awesome. Now, where can people find out more about your work and also the BizGalz chat?
Yeah, so for me personally, you can check out my About Me page. There's a link in my Twitter at An Orchid in Bloom. And then for BizGalz, you can check us out on Twitter at BizGalz, BizGalz. We also have our blog up, bizgalz.wordpress.com.
All right. Well, Alissa Trumbull, I want to say thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be on this show. I really honored. Do you have any final words for our audience?
Yeah, make time. I'm working on that right now this month. Make time, because everything that you want to do is just as important as everything else. And whether you make time today or you make time in a few weeks or in a year, take the time and don't just be busy.
Well, Alissa, thanks again for joining me on this show. I